Today, we'll be answering the question of what to build for your minimal viable product. Hello, everyone. My name is Shuo Chen. I am a former founder, now investing in founders and teaching founders at Berkeley and Stanford. I'm also a board member here at DECODE, the largest tech and entrepreneurship community co-hosted between Berkeley and Stanford. And we are answering some of our founders' top questions as part of this series called Tactical Tips. And today we'll be tackling another one of our top questions from founders on what to build for your MVP or your minimal viable product. So without further ado, let's get started. So first tactic as you're thinking about building an MVP is really actually on building less and learning more. Even though we're starting the question with how to build, we actually need to take a step before the building starts, which is really centered around learning. Start testing your most important assumption about how to solve the problem. For example, are your customers actually willing to pay double the price of an existing solution if you can deliver it 10 times faster? And try to build the simplest product to test that assumption. Of course, I gave you an example of what an assumption looks like, but your assumption could be anything, that someone is willing to pay a cent for being able to access a physical product, but in a digital way. For example, being able to read a piece of content that is otherwise printed, but now available on digital. So pick your most important assumption and then just build the simplest product to just test that one assumption. And when you're testing assumptions, there are two ways to build the simplest product. You either do this with no product, in which case you would build a basic mockup, a landing page, a video demo, or even set up a crowdfunding website where you don't really have any of the product, but you just have the simplest cut down version of what this thing would look like. Or you have a truly simplified product, which is a manual backend. So everything on the front looks like it's all set up, but in the back, instead of building all the tech to automate everything, you just do it manually just to validate this assumption. And the goal in doing this whole thing is to minimize input, like your time, money, to maximize output, which is attracting the number of users, maximizing potential revenue, and of course, maximizing for your learning. You want to iterate quickly based on anything that is unexpectedly easy or hard in this whole process. So tactic 1 to where to start with building your MVP is actually to build less and learn more, minimize input, maximize output. Now, tactic 2 is really nailing what your customers care about the most. You want to integrate all the tests from your no product or simplified product test and build this out into a fuller product. And in order to do that, you really have to understand the user's why so you can prioritize ruthlessly. You want to focus on building and launching features that matter the most to your users. Follow this framework of Moscow, which stands for must have, should have, could have, and won't have. In this framework, categorize all of the features that you have in mind into each of these 4 buckets and really only build the must-have features for your MVP. Save everything else for later, and it actually helps you prioritize in these 4 phases. So only build for must-have, and everything should have can come next, could have in the future, and won't have is a future question to answer later on. That brings us to our third tactic for today, which is for your MVP, you really want to deliver aha moments. These are small but powerful and almost somewhat magical feeling that people get, that your users get from interactions with your product, where they truly see you as being 10 times better than whatever their alternatives might be. Better as defined by faster, cheaper, better, more efficient, etc. And you really want to ask yourself a couple of key questions. 1, how quickly can you get your users to experience their first aha moment while using your product? For example, doing something in 10 times less time than an alternative product. 2, how can you repeatedly delight your users with this experience? And 3, what would get your users to really rave about your product and share your product with friends? If you're able to answer these 3, you can pretty much pinpoint how to design these aha moments, deliver them quickly in the user's experience, repeatedly, and get them to share with others so that you can build not just an amazing product, but a product that has some sort of a viral effect that definitely benefits from word of mouth. So with that, today we covered 3 tactics around how to build your MVP. And that is 1, build less, learn more. 2, nail what your customers really care about the most. And 3, deliver aha moments. With that, look forward to our next week's content, answering another one of our top founder questions. But in the meantime, if you want to read more, in addition to the 3 tactics we've covered, if you want additional traps to avoid and tools to leverage to actually help you build this, you can subscribe to our newsletter that covers all of this content in text. And that will be linked below. So please feel free to comment with any additional questions you want us to tackle, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you at our next week's topic. Thanks so much for tuning in.